Hello, everyone, and welcome to Keeping It 100, brought to you by ElectHER. My name is Balanle Olukani, and I will be one of your hosts for the next 3 days.
Hi everyone, my name is Adekunle Olokbade here with Bolanle at a very historical event that ElectHER is bringing to you guys. It's ElectHER's election hub where we're having conversations relating to the Nigerian 2023 presidential and general elections.
Really, really excited. Adekunle and I, we look really cute, we look really relaxed, but I have to tell you, like, the nerves are up to here. We're not nervous because we're on a podcast. We're nervous because this is probably one of the most defining elections that we're going to have in the history of Nigeria. I think everyone can agree that Nigeria is at a very, very difficult and hard place. And this election, it matters. When you say it a choke, it really, really is choking.
Young, old, middle class, everybody has to be involved. Everybody has to participate, because I'm not going to lie to you. No matter how much you say you are not particularly interested in Nigeria or the elections, no matter whatever country you are in right now, the effect of being a Nigerian and how the Nigerian economy is faring, it will touch your body.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason why, ElectHER has chosen to have a podcast where we're going to be talking and keeping it 100 is ElectHER's Election Monitoring Center is right here. And we're going to be pulling a lot of the data from all of the polling units across Nigeria tomorrow. So we'll be giving you real-time updates on what is happening. And also we're going to be having a few guests as well who will be coming in, and we'll just be doing a little bit of analysis on what this election means and the role that gender has played or has not played in the election, in addition to a lot of other conversations that we're going to be having as well.
We know mainstream media would always tell you an information that is partly true or not true at all. So here, we are non-partisan, we are non-agnostic, we are not supporting any particular party or candidate. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell you exactly as it is. We're just like you as well, we're going to be paying attention to the election results, data, and information people share generally. And we're going to be having conversations regarding that as well. So anything you're afraid mainstream media would not say to you, we are definitely going to say it to you as well. If you're supporting any political party and you don't like what we say, we apologize. We mean no harm. We are not looking to offend you. We're only here just to speak the truth to as many Nigerians as possible. And on election day, we want as many people to make an informed decision on voting for the right candidates and their conscience. Because it's not by, if they offer you something, you say, yeah, it's time to go. No. It's 4 years, maybe 8 years that all of us are going to see this shege together. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure myself and Bola, we are tired of seeing shege.
So I want to let you know, if anybody is going to be the one that's going to be offending, it's not me, it's going to be articulate, as you can tell from his preamble.
No. What we're doing is we're keeping it 100.
We're keeping it 100. So we have a few facts and stats for you. This is the 7th election since Nigeria has returned to democratic governance in 1999. Did you vote last election?
No, I didn't see the reason why.
You didn't see the reason why? Okay.
You are part of the problem.
You are part of this problem.
I accept part of the problem.
So I can proudly say with my chest that I've always voted. Always. I've always conducted my civic duty. I voted 2015, and I also voted the last election as well.
How is that working out for you? You voted for, the candidate you voted for.
We're here. Please go ahead and let us know in the comments below, for those of you who are watching on the live stream, did you participate in the last election? If you did not participate in the last election, why? Are you going to be participating in this election? And you can let us know via the YouTube stream. And of course, if you're watching via Twitter or anything like that, let us know why you will or will not be participating in the election. In addition to that, the 2023 general election is conducted under the new Electoral Act, and that was amended recently. So we're really excited to see how that's going to play a role and the adoption that technology will be playing into this election process.
The one act that caused a lot of problems for a short period of time.
Yeah. But, we made it. It was passed.
Well, yeah. Well, we are here finally.
We're here.
In a few hours, we'll know.
So Adekunle, I'm really excited because we are gonna be joined by guests right now, and she is going to give Adekunle freedom to fully speak his mind, because Adekunle is holding back. It's very obvious. And the guest that I'm talking about is none other than Ibijoke Faborede, who is the founder, and also she is, of course, the CEO of ElectHER. She has done an amazing job of pushing forward the agenda and the role that women need to play when it comes to the political system. Ibijoke, Just saw you on CNN a few minutes ago, girl. You know, I asked it from CNN to electors. You know, keep it
We're keeping
100.
it 100.
Come on.
Man, it has been really, really intense last few months for you, hasn't it?
I think saying intense is an understatement. It is. I'm literally just going.
Yeah.
It's been a
You
whole
just
lot,
going.
really. As you mentioned, it's one of the most. It is the most anticipated election since
1999,
1999. So
yes,
that makes
1999.
it. There's so many boiling points and pressure points at this time. Yeah.
We hope what happened in 1999 doesn't repeat itself, though.
No.
Fingers crossed, fingers
Fingers
crossed,
crossed.
fingers crossed. But I want to talk a little bit about just ElectHER's mission. And, you know, we're going to start off talking about the grand scope of just like the role and the importance of women participating in elections. And I want to just start with, compared to this election versus last election, what would you say is the difference? Have you seen an improvement?
I mean, female candidacy is on the decline, but we are not where we were last election. There is a growing social consciousness in the space. I mean, Adekunle went from not voting last election to actually championing conversations about election and getting his community and people to listen. And I think that is fantastic because I think that you can be a cabinet member regardless of where you are. And I think that's why, it's so fascinating when it comes to people-centric approaches to, politicking. But what has changed is that NSAS happened, COVID happened, Naira scarcity happened.
Decline in the
Well,
economy happened.
Jackpot happened. There's so much happening, and I think that people finally understand. As Adekunle said, it will touch everyone. People are conscious. People are asking questions. There's so much agony in the land, and really, you can't afford to look away. People have always looked away and just been the little cocoon. But right now is if you earn 1 million naira, you're not rich in Nigeria. Let's be honest. And so reality they touch. I think that's what's happening right now. So yeah, that's what's changed. But when it comes to women, I think for me one of the most defining things that happened is that NSAS, you actually saw women. People were not questioning the capacity or the competence. It was just Nigerians coming together for the sake of humanity and our survival. And I think from that moment, I saw something. When we come together under a common goal, we are actually unbeatable. And we're seeing that right now. There's been so much pent-up anger, aggression, just unanswered questions. And people have bottled in for so long. But I think now as people are craving answers, people want things to change because it is tough. So now we're seeing much more people. We're seeing private sector collaboration. We're seeing so many people that didn't bother to register last election, get their PVCs, essentially rush. I still had someone message me, was it 2 days ago, can you help me get my PVC? I said, well, no PVC anymore. So next election, you try. But it just shows you that people just understand that it's a matter of survival and life and death right now, and that's very helpful. So a lot is changing. The numbers are declining because people want to hold on to power. There's, systemic barriers, but then there is a shift. There's a shift, and eventually, if we're patient and resilient as Nigerians, I just want to beg Nigerians to be resilient. Not after this election, because things don't turn out the way we want. We just go back. We must keep going and going until we get to where we want to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree. And, I want to talk a little bit about let's run through a few of the numbers when
Yeah.
it comes to women and their role that they've been playing in this election. Because I know that ElectHER has a few candidates that, even though non-partisan, you're supporting across all the political parties. It says that currently there are 21 women serving in the National Assembly, 8 in the Senate, and 13 in the House of Representatives. You talked a little bit about barriers and decline. What has been based on your research and just working in the space, what would you say is one or two major factors that's causing women to not participate when it comes to running for political office?
I mean, it's very simple. It's political will. It's a male-dominated space. No one is going to give you power, I think earlier this evening when I was speaking with Zainash on CNN, she talked about how America has been able to leverage the women as a powerful voting bloc. I mean, we are about half of the voter population, but we haven't really converted that into power. Power dynamics where you can negotiate power for yourself. We control 40% of the microeconomy in Nigeria. That is so much power. So I think we're going to go from agonizing to organizing. And I always give this example. When I lived in Paris, you go to bed, everything is okay, but in the morning, the entire transport infrastructure is shut off. And within hours, the economy can lose about 1 billion. And so the government has to come and negotiate. So as Nigerians, we need to learn to organize more and agonize less, essentially. Yeah.
Adekunle.
You can't blame Nigerians for their reason for agonizing. You do know that, right? And
Of course.
of course, I do agree with what you said about how we need more women to be involved. Part of the classes of people, one of the highest classes of category of people rather who registered to vote are actually artisans and housewives as well and businesswomen. So yes, essentially, I do believe that women play a very strong factor in the development of Nigeria. So a very basic example that everybody can relate to. Everybody likes food, correct? If you're going to go to the market and you want to get food, you're most likely going to interface with a woman. All we just need to do is find the common ground to find a way to make women come together and see that, you know what, they also have a say in the stake of what it is to actually rule and govern Nigeria. And yes, we understand that it's a male-dominated field and men can push and pull, but I do believe that women are tougher.
Adekunle, if Bibichoke and I go in on you because I can go in.
You see what I'm saying?
No. I understand what you're saying, but I think you have to understand that majority of the meetings that happen in the political space, they happen very late at night.
Yeah.
They happen after 11, after 12. They happen in spaces where traditionally they're not women's comfort zones.
It's deliberate.
It's deliberate, and that's what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
That's the deliberate
The systemic
exclusion
barriers, yeah.
of women in the space. But I will say that I think we sometimes forget the role that market women play, right? When you're thinking about Iyaloja,
Even Jesus.
if you get the market women in Lagos, you kind of have them in you gotta have them in your pocket. And we've
Someone
seen
does.
the willpower that they have when it comes to, swaying the voting, where the winner is going to land on. So I do think that's a very untraditional system, and it's very there needs to be a little bit more appreciation for women to be able to enter the political system in places where the meetings are not going to be had at 1 a.m. at some club.
But here's the beautiful thing, and I'm going to touch on history here. I'm going to speak on Fumilayo Ransome Kuti. She was one of the very first women to play a very strong and political scene in Nigeria. And what she did was, when she realized that the men, so to say, were not going to play according to her tactics, she decided to go out and make her own. So she decided to focus on where her strengths were, gathered all the women in the market, as you had mentioned, and then they made sure the men listened to them. It is something that can happen. What you're going to do is, I know there's a popular saying that says, if you're in Rome, you act like a Roman. But if you're in Rome and the Romans are not listening to you, you come and do your own thing. If the men are not letting you come into their field to play ball, what you're going to do is you're going to step back, exactly, come back and form your own strong base, then set the ball rolling. If it's something that they're going to benefit from and they see the advantage to them, they're going to adjust and come on board.
Do you think, I'm curious, Irijaka, to find out why you think there's such a difference? Because, we'll say that maybe Africans generally, the patriarchy in our society, the role it's played, in not allowing women to be part of the political system. But there are other a lot of African countries have had female presidents.
Yeah.
A lot of African countries have female governors. A lot of African countries have a lot of women in parliament. What do you think is Nigeria's hesitation? Because it seems like we're really lagging behind, just even on the continent of Africa. Yeah, of course.
I want to cite a very beautiful example. NSAS. When it started and a group of people came together and they started rallying contributions and they were providing aid for people, it was done by a group of women. So it is possible.
Yeah.
And the way NSAS was organized, how people donated money, how accounts were frozen, accounts were set up, everything, people were arrested and everything, it was literally done by a group of women. So yes, it is actually possible. All you just need to do is to understand that yes, the playing field is not leveled. It's not the same thing, but you have to create your own field. Make the impact. People would adjust. For a time period, yes, there were a lot of people that called the ladies that were involved with the NSAS movement, they called them all sorts of names. But if you're going to look at it, they did have an impact. And the impact was something that a lot of people benefited. If not for them, some mothers would still be crying today because they wouldn't know where their kids are. Some people would be rotting in jail for crimes they did not commit. So yeah, it is possible for women to be involved. We just need to have that oneness, that one voice.
Yeah.
And that's why we have people like ElectHER here to champion an organization that brings women together.
Definitely,
So yeah, go
definitely.
ElectHER.
Great. So no, I mean, absolutely, you're right. Sometimes we just need to create that table. Speaking to what Bolanle said about the late night meetings, I always just say show up. Because no one's gonna give us the power. Women need to understand that we must show up in our numbers. You understand, and you cited a good example with what happened with NSAS, and people were no longer questioning anymore. So I think it's very important for us not to consider all those barriers actually barriers, but we just need to create our table and an infrastructure around it as well. And I think that that's really going to be helpful to Nigerian women. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much
So-
for being here with us.
I want to make sure that before we go, I know there's a project that you guys are working on, and if you can give us a preamble to it, I know it might not be launching, but if you can just give us like a little bit of insight on the platform.
Absolutely. So what for this election? I mean, you're obviously at the election, ElectHER election up at the moment, and part of this is really backing the data and everything we're feeding into you guys and also to Nigerians. Through our tech infrastructure called Analytics. I'm actually wearing the T-shirt, so it's Analytics, and essentially through the platform which we're going to be launching tonight, there is a citizen election observation platform called eBody, election body, where citizens can share updates, can report an incident, can act as an election observer. We also will be analyzing results as well. So obviously we look forward to launching tonight because we believe that the power belongs to the people, and we are just we're excited that finally Nigerians have a place they can interact and also share the experiences on elections as well. Yeah.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Ibijeke.
Thank you.
We
Thank
know
you,
you
for-
have so much to do. We're going to let you run.
Thank you.
And you really are going to run.
It's just actually going to do
She's like, oh, we're going to let you run. No, she's really good. Really, my she's going to stand up and run. We want to let you guys know that we want to make sure that we are as helpful as possible. We do have a little bit of information about how you can locate your polling unit. We've been getting messages. Even yesterday, I got on my social media. Someone was like, how do I locate my polling unit? And normally I would have been just like, oh my gosh. But because I want you to vote,
No
this
excuses.
is how you're going to do it. So right now, the graphic is showing on the screen. First things first, you can send a text message to the number on the screen. If you cannot do that, you can visit the INEC website. You can actually open your phone, open your camera, yeah? Point it to the barcode that is on the screen. Once the barcode matches, your camera matches that barcode, you see a little yellow thing. Click on it, it will open the INEC website. Go ahead and put your voter's registration number in, and it will come up. It should come up. It should.
If your phone is not updated to the latest software and the thing doesn't come up, use Google Maps. If that doesn't work as well, let's say you use Google Maps and it's pointing you to an offshoot location. Don't worry, Google Maps is not trying to kidnap you. What you should do is take advantage of social media. This is 2023. This is the digital age. Put it on your WhatsApp status. Put it on your social media, Twitter, Instagram. Just let people know that this is the polling unit you're going to go to, but you're finding it difficult to locate it. Find a group of people who have their PVCs as well, and you guys should go in as a group. One thing that going as a group would also help you do during this election, it helps you reduce the chances of you being bullied. Someone coming to the polling unit to threaten you and everything, but if you are with your guys, when I go stand strong and stand fit and you fight back. Because the truth is, as we said earlier in the show, this is a very crucial moment for Nigeria. 2 years ago, the dollar rate was not as high as it is now. And we can only imagine what would happen if we have another 4 years of things not just going as it should. If we're going to be honest, we're not even trying to bash anybody, but let's be honest, things are not working. A lot of people are not happy. So we need as many people to come out and vote. This is the first time in the longest time we have the highest number of registered voters. For whatever reason, we are not trying to have the voter turnout to also be reduced as well. So please, come out and vote.
So speaking of registered voters, I'm just going to read a few of the statistics. So like people are kind of aware of what's exactly happening. Okay, so of the registered voters, you will not believe that 27.8% are students.
Highest number of registered voters.
Highest number of all of them, 27.8% are students. So
That's interesting.
I'm a bit nervous about that. I'm nervous, but I'm happy. Because the thing is, a lot of those people registered when they were at home.
Right.
So they registered when they were at home.
Chances
which
of going
means-
back.
Yeah, but universities have closed. But the thing about it is, we all know that things are expensive, transport is expensive. Like
It's like
let's
cash.
exactly. So that makes me a bit like I'm just like, oh man, I hope they get to vote. I hope they went back to where they registered. I hope that they'll be able to cast their vote. You know, those are things that makes me a bit.
This is a once in a lifetime event. We are only going to vote once for the next 4 years. As uncomfortable as it might seem, for whatever reason, everybody has to not vote. There's no cash, you don't have money, you don't have this and that. It's one time. If you're not able to sacrifice the inconvenience for tomorrow, we might have to suffer for it for another 4 years.
Of course, of course, of course.
And
Of
I think it's
course.
also very interesting. We have a lot of first time voters and registers.
Yeah, of course,
this time
because when
around.
you think about it, people are always saying we're a youth population, we're a you guys, we are. When we say Nigeria is bursting with young people,
we are
18 to 24, that's the age demographic for youth. 39.65% of registered voters are in that age group.
18 to 24.
Yep.
So I'm going to say something.
39. But 35.75% of people in the middle age, 35 to 49, are registered. So it's almost equal. Almost equal.
Here's what we're going to do. If you're an older sibling and your younger sibling has registered, whatever happens tomorrow, chase them out of the house. They must go to the polling. You have the authority because obviously you're the older one. But yeah, you know, some group of people put out statistics to say about 40% of registered voters are undecided.
Yeah,
And
that's
that
a
is,
huge number.
that is very scary. That's almost half of the people who register to vote don't know who to vote for.
Or actually, do you know what I really think? I think that a lot of Nigerians are very like big on conspiracy theories. They actually probably do know who they want to vote for.
But they won't say anything.
But they won't say because Nigerians are like, I don't know who you sell this data to. I don't know if you people will go and carry my data. Because honestly, someone came up to me, yeah, and they were like, oh, I'm doing a independent poll.
Right.
You know, don't worry, your results are not going to be connected to you. And they asked me who I'm voting for and I should write that down. I ain't telling you.
What do you need the information for? You want to get
I'll
easy to
tell
sell
you,
it
I'll
to
tell you,
somebody
Jack.
and make money off it?
But we do want to know if you are undecided, please let us know. You can comment in the live stream comment section. If you are decided, just write decided. We're not going to ask you who you're voting for, but just write decided and let us know. Are you decided or are you undecided? Okay, so I had this conversation with my friend, funny enough, and I posted on my social media about what do you do when someone in your life or your friend is supporting a different political party?
We'll have the argument if there's a need to argue. We're going to argue about it.
You're going to argue about it?
Yes, and I mean, for the sake of friendship, we will give dialogue a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Let me hear you out. If you're supporting different candidates, let me hear you out and we'll present facts. And if we can't see eye to eye, polling unit will vote for whoever I want to vote for, then I'll wait for the results. If your candidate wins and the country is a mess, we are going to have a problem because I would say you are part of our problem.
So I think that when it comes to that kind of situation, with how intense and how important this election is, I couldn't imagine if, like, let's say I was married, my life partner, and were supporting different candidates. It would kind of feel like a betrayal.
Well, I have a question, and this is me playing the devil's advocate. What makes someone the right candidate? What makes someone the wrong candidate?
And I fully agree with you. That's the reason why, when it comes to my friendships, I've been very like, I don't really mess with that. Because I have like friends, people that I absolutely like dearly care about, who not
said all
only
sorts of
not
things.
only are they supporting a different candidate, they are campaigning for a different candidate. Like they are going hard, and I'm just like,
I wrote an article a couple of days ago. It was actually pretty sad. I was trying to send money, and I couldn't. I didn't have cash. My apps were not working. Like 4 apps were not working, and it was a very devastating experience for me. Funny how since this whole cashless thing, I just made it a point of contact not to have any reason to spend money. People ask me how do you do. I'm like, I don't go out. I just stay.
Yeah.
But I needed to send money, and it did affect me. And I did write a piece. I put it out. The truth is, what's going to happen is, and again, this is me playing the devil's advocate, we all can support the same candidate. But the truth is, rather than use all the energy we have into bashing another candidate, for the time period that we have, use that energy to campaign for the candidate that you believe is the right person to govern Nigeria. Because the truth is, election is only won with votes. Noise, fight, it's not going to work. You need people in your corner. So you want your preferred candidate to vote because you think your preferred candidate is the right person for the job. Rally around as many people as you can to come together. Let them see your cause. Let them see what you see. Let them believe in what you see. And you get them to vote. That's the only way your candidate is going to get into office, regardless of who you support.
that's very true. That's very true. And there also has to be, it is what it is. For married couples, y'all don't kick each other out the house.
Yeah,
'Cause you still
it's
live
best not to involve
candidates.
yourself in married couples problems.
A few more statistics. 5.6% of the people who are registered to vote are 70 and above. We do not have much of our older population is not that much in
Yeah.
Nigeria. And then 18.94% are elderly people, which is 50 to 69. Now that 50 to 69, who are those people?
You people should
What are those people? What are
convince
those
your
people?
parents to vote for who you believe is
Well,
right.
I
You
mean,
have less than
the thing
24
about
hours.
this is, which we'll probably be discussing tomorrow about the role of voter turnout. The question is, the people with the large numbers, are they going to come out? That is the
That
question.
is honestly,
That's
if you
the
have people who have their PVCs and they've decided not to come and drag them.
Yeah, but Adekunle, I don't think it's going to be that people are not going to decide to come out. Do you know what I think it is? I think that people are not near their polling units. When they say, because we're going to need to ask ourselves, why is there a low voter turnout?
But
Are they close to their
you know
polling
what?
units?
Tomorrow would actually know.
We're gonna-
We'll know
Yes,
for
yes.
certain tomorrow.
Definitely.
Tomorrow will be a
definitely.
very interesting day.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to move on swiftly. We want to make sure that we let you guys know which candidates are going to be coming up. But before that, we're going to be helping you guys with how to locate your polling unit and also how to vote. So take a look.
The voting procedures during an election is brought to you by Channels Television. Remember that you're qualified to vote if you are a registered voter and your name appears on the register of voters at your polling unit. On each election day, polling stations will open for accreditation and voting from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. However, voters on the queue before the close of poll at 2:30 p.m. will be accredited and allowed to vote. Voting at the polling unit will be as follows. Step 1. At the polling unit, join the queue. An INEC official will check if you are at the correct polling unit and confirm that the PVC presented belongs to you. Step 2. An INEC official will confirm if your PVC is genuine using the card reader. You will be asked to place your finger on the card reader. Step 3. An INEC official will also confirm you are listed in the voters register. Your name will be ticked and your finger will be inked to confirm that you have voted. If your name is not found, you cannot vote. Step 4. The presiding officer will stamp, sign and endorse your ballot paper. You'll be given the ballot paper rolled with the printed side inwards and directed to the voting cubicle. Step 5. Stain your finger with the ink given and mark the box for your preferred candidate or party. Roll the ballot paper in the manner you are given and flatten it. Step 6. Leave the voting cubicle and drop the ballot paper in the ballot box in full view of people at the polling unit. Step 7. Leave the polling unit or wait if you wish to in an orderly and peaceful manner to watch the process up to the declaration of the result. The result of each polling unit shall be pasted at the unit for everyone to see. Vote wisely and avoid vote buying. This announcement is brought to you by Channels Television, a network built on trust.
And we're back, guys. We hope the video you just watched was actually as informative and very useful to you. So here's the thing. Election is around the corner. Everybody needs to come out and vote. One way or the other, everybody has heard one or two things from one or two people that has inspired, or for lack of a better word, if this is even a word, inspired them from voting. One of the guests we have brought up to further persuade you into why you should vote and participate is someone you would know very actively on social media because he does not shy away from confrontation or drags or from speaking his truth. His name is Mr. Japhet Omojua. Most of you know him as JJ. Most of you just know him as Omojua. And he's a political analyst and activist, and he bears it all as it is. Welcome to Keeping It 100,
Minus the
Omojua.
activist.
Sorry?
Minus the activist.
Minus the activist.
Wait, Omojua,
you're
you're
not
not
an activist.
activist.
I've never been an activist.
Online,
Since 2011, I made that very clear. I'm not an activist.
online they're still using
It's too much
activists.
of a small box for me.
So what would you classify yourself
Like
as?
a regular citizen, JJ or Module, and tomorrow morning, if I need to help people order traffic, then I'm ordering traffic.
Right.
Like on Wednesday or Friday, if I'm writing an article, then I'm writing. I
Okay.
could be anything I want to be.
I love
the
it.
only constant is my name.
So we can't hold you to anything
Yeah, but no
particularly.
activist for sure.
No
Okay.
activist pressure.
Okay.
Manjo, how are you feeling about the election tomorrow?
I'm really excited. I like the fact that a lot of young people are interested. Of course, the interest looks like it's a sprint. I hope that it becomes a marathon where beyond the election, people continue to be interested in how they govern. I'm one of those people, and I hope that you guys are too, that believe that there is no salvation from elections.
No.
And
none.
if there were, Nigeria would have been saved by now, because there's never been a time that Nigerians have not been excited about elections. Also, there's never been a time that up to the point of that election was not the most critical election in Nigeria's history. So that bit has been tested. Elections will not save Nigeria. What will save Nigeria is maintaining that energy. I don't know what Gen Z people call it. Keep the same energy. To keep that same energy long after the elections, so that we don't live as a country where we're just patriotic, committed to governance and other such things just during elections. It's the same way governance is an everyday thing. Keeping government on its toes has to be an everyday thing. Otherwise, congratulations for voting tomorrow if you vote. But if that's the only thing you do till 2027, then Nigeria has no chance of changing.
I have a question to ask you.
Yes, please.
So there's something you said whereby you said election doesn't change Nigeria. It doesn't serve as a salvation point for Nigeria. The truth is, in election, if people make the wrong decision with the wrong candidate, for the next 4 years, we will suffer for it. And then it also goes back to how, yes, we do demand accountability from our elected officials, but over time, hardly have we ever gotten accountability. I'm not sure if it has to do with the policy or the way the system of governance is set up in Nigeria, but we have people that actually advocate for representatives to come out and address certain issues. But it seems like they always fall on deaf ears, or our politicians are never really in office. So how do we go about that from this 26th of February 2023 going forward?
Because the people making the calls for accountability are not the masses. The masses generally go about their business. So they reserve that responsibility for some so-called activists and civil society people. But really and truly, to make change happen, it has to be at scale. People have to be asking those questions at scale. I'll give you a scenario. People don't have to agree with this, but that's what I think it is. I think that, and I'm not saying you should go tomorrow. I mean, don't go and vote a bad leader tomorrow. You have to vote the right person. It's just a scenario. Nobody should cut this part of the video to make some agenda. It's a scenario, right? I believe that if you vote a supposedly bad leader and you keep them on their toes for every day of their time in office, and you vote a supposedly, an emphasis on supposedly, because really and truly, who is bad, who is good? So emphasis on supposedly. If you vote a supposedly good leader, and after voting them, you go to bed, the so-called bad leader is in a better position to do better in office than the good leader. And that's because of this thing that they call built environment in changing behavior or making people behave. More often than not, people don't behave because of their will or their intention. They behave because of the environment. So if you're trying to lose weight and I stock your fridge with different forms of beer and drinks and chocolate, and you have Netflix in your room, you have Netflix everywhere, Netflix Crave, all the Prime, all the video watching, everything that can keep you up after midnight. No matter what your commitment is, chances are that you will backslide.
So essentially what you're saying is we can't
The environment is an essential part of how a leader and an individual behaves. So if the environment makes it convenient for the leader to be like a dassical, for the leader not to care, not to bother, because people don't care, people don't bother, people like go to bed until the next elections, chances are that leader will not do well. It's just human nature. The lot of our political reality is human nature. The lot of it. How our leaders behave, how we behave, the results we get from them, it's all human nature. Like if we get into that conversation to the point of how you build a pedestrian bridge, right? And somebody's getting killed for running through the express under the pedestrian bridge. Have you thought about it? Pedestrian bridge. Somebody's getting killed for running through the express under the pedestrian bridge. Or you build a barrier across that road and people are breaking through that barrier to cross that road, even though they could have passed through other means. All of that is spelt in the fact that we, as a collective, whether our leaders or ourselves, have not come to accept that we don't take responsibility for the change that we need. That's why every 4 years, we think that by voting some individual in Abuja, even though that person will not go to the most parts of Nigeria, that person will change Nigeria. Says, bro, daddy, mommy, brother and sister, if that could be possible, it wouldn't be here by now.
So what does keeping them on their toes look like? Like what would that look like for us for the next 4 years? Because what you're making is a great point, right? In that,
We need to
have
do better.
keep them accountable.
But like, that's a very good question, because sometimes people just hear you rant and they don't hear you hear like, okay, so what are you going to do? So that's, for me, that's a very good question. Number one is, there are no people selected or designed to ask those questions of your leaders. The days of Ganifawa Emi, the days of Bamidele Aturu, Colonel Umar and all those great guys, those days are gone. Now, the same way all of us are watching all these shows together on TV, the same way all of us are watching football and commenting together on TV, all of us have to watch our government together and drop those comments together. Number two, we have to find consensus. Our greatest challenge as a collective is the absence of consensus. A Nigerian president will be voted. The election is tomorrow. I don't know if we'll get the results tomorrow, but I'm sure that within the next 5 days, we should get the results. I mean, beavers and other stuff. We're going to get a new president. What's going to happen is that we're also going to get new Abobakus. People that will defend that president to the last, no matter what that president does. Now, those Abobakus are going to be quite a lot in number. And that means that if something happens that all of us can clearly see that this should be done like this, e.g., a bridge has been destroyed by whatever, it should be rebuilt, right? And somebody is saying, this bridge has been destroyed for the past 2 years. Why has it not been rebuilt? The average Abobaku will say, but the bridge that was destroyed in 2007 that the other government did not build, but you did not say anything that time. No. The point where all of us say is true, that bridge has been destroyed for 2 years. The government has to do something. If everybody says that, they haven't borne, and I'm not speaking English now, I'm speaking Nigerian. They have not borne the government well. That will not fix that bridge. If there is a consensus. The reason why we don't get our government to move in our direction is because we hardly have consensus, even on the most obvious, the most important things. So if I were government in Nigeria, I'd feel cool, because really and truly, all I need to do is just ball, because whatever it is, name anything, there will be people defending you. So until the point where, and that's what needs to change, where we decide, okay, there's polarization, you used that word earlier, very true. There's polarization, there is politics, there's partisanship, there's even agnosticism with respect to people don't even caring whatsoever. But there are just some things that there must be consensus. There must be consensus on power. There must be consensus, like you have to give us power. There must be more power. There must be consensus on subnational governments, taking those children out of school, putting them in school. There must be consensus on primary health care and ensuring that maternal mortality reduces. There must be consensus on the fact that the Nigerian passport is so poorly respected abroad, and something has to be done about it. Like, all the things I've mentioned so far affect all Nigerians, poor, rich, Christian, Muslim, atheist, whatever. There must be consensus on that. There may not be a consensus on us agreeing that this person should be president, but the majority will have their say tomorrow. But after that election, there has to be consensus on the most obvious things: infrastructure, how we govern, security, the things that affect all of us, our responsibility with respect to climate change. The primary challenge, as an individual sitting down here with you, or sitting here with you because I can't sit up.
Yeah, that is correct.
My primary challenge is not whoever gets elected. My primary challenge is that when that person gets elected, the same way you have new ministers and new rulers of Abuja and other places, is that you have new Abobakus that will forget that they used to criticize the previous government for certain things, that will now translate to the things that they used to not be, that they used to speak against. But as a people, we actually have to come together. It's easier said than done, I have to say, but we have to. If we don't, my brother, in 2000, this is 2023, isn't it?
Yeah.
In 2027, we will come again, maybe not this room, maybe not the studio. We'll come again and say, this is the most important election in Nigeria's history. You have to go out there and vote, collect your PVC, everything that people have been saying and other people have been saying.
And there's a reason to it.
But if these things could save Nigeria, we wouldn't be here.
There's a reason
This is
to it.
essential. They are essential. Let's not get it twisted. Like, the reality of governance, of development, they are complex. There are many things that need to come together. So all of those things have to come together. But there are certain things that we're missing as a people, and that's that the intervening periods between elections, we go to bed. And if you go to bed, they'll carry your food, they'll carry your development. You wake up 4 years later and continue to cry about the same thing. We have a therapeutic relationship with elections, Nigerians. We do. We feel very good. We have this huge. The funny thing is, yeah.
The thing, I think the reason why we have a therapeutic, feeling towards it is because
Yeah.
it represents some. And the thing about it is, to some extent, on what you are, a lot of people are just finally joining that therapeutic feeling.
Congratulations to them.
Do you understand? Like, I would say for me, I've always participated in the political system, always, right? But majority of people were quite apathetic to it. So a lot of people have always been like, I actually don't care. The system is rigged. All of this, does my vote count? Whatever, which is the reason why we saw lower voter turnout. This year, it's one of the highest. So I don't know if people have always had a strong hope. I think people have they trust the system more. Now, this is probably one of the first elections that people actually trust the system the most of all the elections we have. And the question is, and I believe that will show up in who is elected, because people are going to come out to vote.
Hopefully.
There's
People
something,
are gonna come out to
I
vote.
need to say, and it really does bother and touched on the thing you said. When people blame the government for certain things, and I think that's the area where we slack as a people and we give the government area to hide under their responsibilities. You gave 2 examples. There's a pedestrian bridge, but an individual would rather cross the road and get killed. There's a bridge that was supposed to be made and it doesn't get made. In situations where certain projects that benefit the people have been set out to be done and they're not done, who gets the blame for it? So you're saying we need people to come out and to have a consensus and call out the government. The truth is government is for the people, by the people, and of the people. Anybody can be a government. We had a situation in 2015 whereby the number 3 president, the number 3 person in the country was criticizing the number 1, blaming the government. And all these people are all government together. But how can someone who is in the current administration be saying the government is not doing its job? If there's a pedestrian bridge, for example, and people are meant to use it, but people aren't using it, there's a law enforcement within that are supposed to enforce that. Rather than people shouting government, this government, that, it is the law enforcement within that area that are supposed to enforce it, that are supposed to do it. One of the problems I think we as Nigerians have is we do not know our representatives enough. Most of the things that happen within our community, it borders on the councillors and the local government chairmen or women. A lot of us don't know who they are, and we don't hold them accountable enough. We think everything has to go straight to the governor or straight to the president. And you have mentioned it. Whoever becomes president will be in Aso Rock for the longest time. They may not have opportunity to visit the other 36 states, but there are problems in those states, and we need people to work on it. I do believe that people have a consensus. I think the problem is the consensus is not channeled to the right party. I think as an individual, and we need more groups of people to come together and start pointing out those transparencies or those little potholes in government. Because the truth is, we want to hold the government. We want the government to be able to say, yes, we are responsible for this. And we, as you said, we do want the government to sit up. But we need a scapegoat. If you are holding your local government chairman down, for example, they've given your local government chairman money for street lights, money for gutter, money for road, money for healthcare center, yet the people within the community are not working. If one day they go and shake the local government chairman's house or they disrupt the movement, the person will go and complain to assembly. Oga, they've started though, this thing we need to do, they need to sit up. So yes, I do believe that yes, we need to hold the government accountable, but we need people in government. It is those people in government that we need to hold accountable. The general umbrella of saying government is government, that it just makes anybody say, well, they didn't mention my name. So I think the consensus that we need people to have is we need people to...
They need to understand how democracy actually works.
And know
Also,
their
I mean, one
candidates.
of our biggest challenges is that we keep selecting our leaders from the same pool. The same pool of men.
Yeah, but Omonjua, we
The
know
same
what
pool of
the
men.
selection for the same pool of men is because of funds. Money plays a huge role. And I want to also state that globally, this is a normal thing, right? If you look at America, most of the people, yes.
No, but our system of government is weird. We have a multi-national, multi-party system of government.
What I'm saying is that generally, if you look at most countries, you'll see that people who are voted elected, they come from history of political families.
Yeah, but that's not even the point I was
shifting
making.
a
Like,
little bit.
Nigeria is one of the worst countries when it comes to representation. We are sub 100. No, we're above 100. We're ranked above 100 in terms of representation. Actually, in Africa, I was watching CNN and the CEO of ElectHER,
Yeah.
Ibijoke, was talking about the fact that we're 54 or 54 in Africa. And that's not surprising because our number is like 4.1%, like under 5%. We actually used to do 6% and it was a disaster.
Yeah, it's gone down.
And now we're here now. Only God knows what we're coming up with the latest election, especially because people are just obsessed and focused on the presidency. Look, it's easy to blame government, and thank God everybody blames government. So that often goes without saying. But we have to look beyond that small box of who the president is. Because the truth of the matter is, even if you get the right president in Abuja, even if you get the right president in Abuja, no matter how much force happens in this Abuja, the effect of that force will dissipate the farther away from Abuja.
True.
The person in Adejia, the person in Arochukwu, the person in Ile-Ife, the person in Isaleko will not feel Abuja as much as the person in Abuja. That's why, my brother, if you cover the face of a Nigerian that lives in a place like Abia State, or pick somebody from Brass in River State, cover their face and drop them in Abuja, there are places they will be in Abuja, they will think they are in Europe.
Yeah.
I've been in audiences in Abuja that people from outside of Africa are like, I'm so proud to be African. I was coming from the airport, see the road, it was very big. And I was like, is this same as Nigeria, right? The effects of Abuja cannot spread across the country. If you want this country to blow in the Nigerian colloquial sense of blow, that explosion has to happen in the subnationals. It has to happen across all the 36 states.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, in practical terms, if you threw a 3 or 8 TNT bomb in Abuja, God forbid, nobody should throw any bomb in Abuja. It's just an example. Please, don't cut this part. If you threw that bomb in Abuja, you feel the effects, right? Maybe Nasarawa and Kaduna and them Kogi will feel like something has happened. But if you threw that bomb in every state capital, the effect, the coming together, in fact, the intersection of that effect would be unprecedented. We are a federal republic, for Christ's sake. And unfortunately, we only live that reality on paper. So we have to tell our people, after the presidential elections, don't forget there's governorship
Don't forget
elections.
There's governorship
There's
elections.
deputy
If a
governorship
state is not
election.
working, hold
Right?
your
I don't know,
governor accountable.
maybe it's based off where we're coming from culturally, where
Authorities
the father
at the
of
very
the
top.
house, where
Yes.
the king and all of that, Oba Jelori, everybody, like the king is over everybody. So that this central figure in Abuja is being taken as a sort of demigod.
Yes.
When that person becomes president, they then realize that their powers are even limited. We talk about children out of school, 20 million. Are you aware that the federal government has nothing to do with that number?
Which is what Adekunle was making to the point about the role and the importance of local government.
And that's a major problem in Nigeria.
They have been trying to get their autonomy as much as possible, but I hate using this as a sign out. We could be here forever.
Yeah.
You know this, but we do have to run. Thank you so much for joining us and for
Such a pleasure.
popping in to Keeping It 100. I know that tomorrow we'll be seeing all your tweets, giving us updates.
We might use some as examples.
And
Lord help
making
us.
sure that we know what's happening on ground. We're really excited for tomorrow's
for hosting.
election. Thank you so much
Such
for
a
joining
pleasure.
us. All right, so we do have some candidates that we want to introduce you to. Remember that ElectHER is a non-partisan NGO that supports and pushes the cause of women participating in politics. So we're just going to be running through a few of the candidates that ElectHER is supporting, and these are candidates across parties. So it's non-partisan, but we are making sure that we're putting our money where our mouth is and assisting women to be able to be part of the political system and to have political will. So these are some of the candidates that we would like to get you familiar with, so you can know who you can possibly support.
The change that we seek starts from us. And the truth is there are more than three individuals running for office, as well as 100 more of individuals who are vying for different political offices across Nigeria. I mean, it's called the general elections for a reason. There's presidential, there's going to be governorship in a few days, there's legislature, there's the senatorial, there's the local government chairman as time goes on. The truth is, as Omojua did say before he left us, you can't solve everything by picking a president. The election or the change in Nigeria doesn't just stop when you vote for your president. There are other people. There's a whole ecosystem that forms a working government. So yes, while we would say the buck stops at the president, there are other people as well that we as individuals, we as Nigerians, as part of our civil responsibility and duty, need to vote for to make sure that the Nigeria we want and we hope to achieve is attainable. Election is, what, a few hours away? Is it 12 hours, 10 hours?
I think it's what?
Let's
It's
just-
almost 12 hours.
Let's just say when the sun comes out
It
tomorrow.
starts at 8:30, you'll be allowed to go and get accredited to vote. And speaking of election being 12 hours away, there are some essentials
Yes,
that we feel
you need.
So when I voted the last election, my polling unit was it was really easy. Like I remember getting there around I got there around 12. Did my accreditation, and then I think I came back afterwards, and then I casted my vote. Now that was then because the
Yeah.
accreditation was a bit different. I don't think now you have to go and come back.
I think you just, either you swipe your card.
Yeah.
I think you swipe your card when the thing turns green, you then
The BVAS,
proceed,
yeah. So the smart card reader will go ahead and read your card, and then immediately after that, you'll be, which we saw in the video, you'll be able to cast your vote. So some 6 essentials that you need. Election day, your PVC, nada.
Very important.
Nada. So I saw online, someone was like, oh, can I print out,
Yeah, I've seen things like that as
my
well.
stuff? I don't think you can. You must have your physical
Don't
card.
let anybody
Please don't
lie
let
to
all
you.
this fake news. I hate this. Anything I hate in this life is fake news.
Try your best to confirm. Anybody sending you WhatsApp broadcast,
No.
don't pay attention, especially this period. Don't listen to it.
Yeah, you need your PVC, like you need your card. You need the physical card with you. Of course, AirPods.
So nobody will tell you nonsense.
So the AirPods one, I wouldn't do AirPods just because I want to be aware of my surroundings. And I want to have my ears open and I want to know what's happening.
But this
Me,
don't
I'm not
whisper
an
rubbish
AirPods
into
person,
your
but
ear.
I know some people are doing AirPods because you don't want to hear all the nonsense that people are chatting, the dust that they're saying.
Well, as long as you know who you are voting for at the end of the day.
And then also I would say another essential, even though it's not on there, don't engage in conversations with people about about politics. Not at the polling units. People are mad, oh. You don't know where people are coming
You
from.
don't know who is who. You don't know who is
Exactly.
trying to get information from you. They will
Yeah.
mark your face if you go to polling units
Yeah.
and you feel like you're the defender of the country. Go there, perform your civil duty, vote, and go back to your house.
Yeah. And, so also because it's a public space, guys, please make sure that you're using deodorant as well. BO ain't cute. You never know. You don't know if you're gonna meet your boo if you're single.
And apart from that, we don't even want you to use your natural to increase the number of undecided voters. So please,
Don't chase people away from their polling units.
yes,
Don't chase people
smell
away.
fresh, ready. Let's have a confident aura ready for you to vote.
Yeah. Of course, make sure you can take your cell phone with you, but INEC has said that you are not allowed to take your cell phone into the polling cubicle. You are not allowed to take your cell phone into the polling cubicle. That was announced. I saw that on the news earlier. So, if you have someone that you can drop your phone with when you go into the polling unit, your cubicle, and the reason why is that they're trying to prevent rigging, because what usually happens when you take your phone into the cubicle is sometimes people will say, the people that want you to rig or want to do vote buying, they say you should take a picture of your ballot. Then once you've taken a picture of your ballot, that's when they will
Now
give you the
settle
money
you.
afterwards. So you're not allowed to take your phone. I can't remember if last election you were allowed to take your phone into the cubicle.
No,
I feel like
no.
it was.
I think
you
that's
weren't.
always.
I don't know if it was a real issue or it became a real issue recently. I think it became a
real issue recently.
But INEC has said that you're not going to be allowed to take your phone into the cubicle. And then, of course, make sure you have your water. I would say take water instead of anything else so you're hydrated. The weather is hot. And, you want to make sure that you're as hydrated as possible.
Yeah,
What else do we have on
you
the
also want
list?
to mind your business. Face cap, glasses. So the truth is, we don't want you to have any reason to say, you know what, you're tired, I'm not voting anymore. But we feel these are the 6 essentials that you need. Of course, the list is not compulsory. Any other thing that you think that will make you comfortable, please go ahead. Make a list tonight so
Okay.
you don't forget tomorrow, because we're not going to take excuses.
Yeah. So just to further reiterate and convince you guys as why this election is hopefully going to be one of the most free and fair elections that we've had, we want to talk a little bit about the BVAS voting system. So take a look at this video to explain that to you.
It's
So I know that
general
just to
election
explain a little bit
period.
about the
Are
BVAS
you
voting
having
system,
any
it
doubts
is
or
the
worries about your
bimodal.
vote or being kept waiting on the queue for long? Worry no more. INEC has introduced the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System called BVAS for accreditation of voters using their fingerprints or facials for authentication. This device replaces the smart card reader and will eliminate all possible cases of voter impersonation. How does it work? This time, the authentication process is much easier and faster. Unlike the smart card reader, the voter places his or her finger on the fingerprint scanner of the BVAS for accreditation. If the fingerprint is being accepted, that is a successful accreditation. If the voter places his or her finger on the fingerprint scanner of the BVAS and authentication fails, the BVAS can capture the facial image of the voter and is automatically authenticated, provided the bearer is the genuine owner of the PVC. This is INEC's innovative strategy to ensure that all eligible voters are entitled to one vote and that their votes must count. No more voting using another person's card or voting more than once. It is one man, one vote. Come out and vote for the candidates of your choice. Vote for your right candidate in this year 2023 presidential, governorship, National Assembly and State House of Assembly elections. It is your right. Don't sell your future and that of your children by selling your vote. Remember, no PVC, no voting. This message is from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, making your votes
Well done,
count.
INEC.
Well
done, INEC.
INEC has. I think, to be honest, we're going to give them their
know
kudos.
what?
Every election cycle, they keep telling us that, you know what, we are
We
here
did try.
for you.
We're here for you.
Don't worry. If
Even
there's
though
problem, we'll
even though
mitigate
they
it.
messed up with that Lagos State's Labour Party, they
So
printed
apparently,
out.
the thing is, it's just the emblem that's on it. The name of the party is not there. So what the party is trying to do now is, within their camp, they're trying to tell as many people how to identify their emblem so people can
Wait a minute.
vote for
For
them.
all the parties?
No, Labour.
Literally asked them to toss the election out. So you're telling me wait, Adekunle, I want you to just see how much, and this is not even me being partisan. This is literally just free and fair elections. Every single other party has their logo and their name. And you're telling me that the only party that doesn't have is the Labour Party. They don't have their name on it. It's just their logo.
I'm
Which
sure if
logo
we
is
check,
the least unrecognizable of all three major parties?
I'm sure if we check, they would have an explanation for it, because I don't want to believe anybody in Labour Party would just let that slide. I'm sure they would have
No.
probed.
Labour Party has already kicked up a fuss.
Election is tomorrow.
Yeah, and they literally will have a right to say it was not a free and fair election.
Imagine if that's grounds to go back to court and challenge the result. at the
I'm
end
just
of the
saying
day.
that I think that if we're talking about a free and fair election,
That shouldn't happen.
those are the kind of things that we do not want to see happening. And this would be a statement that we would make for any and every single party if they did not have the same
Equal
exact
representation.
equal representation on the ballot paper. It's a no, guys. It's a no. But still, that does not mean that you should not go out to vote tomorrow.
If that's the
Because
party you're voting
BVAS
for.
is a system that is going to help as much as possible to accredit voters. And also, the great thing about it is also uploading the votes as quick as possible in real
Real
time.
time.
Even though the election will be read out and counted physically in Abuja over the next 2 days after tomorrow's voting. So, yeah. I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be absolutely amazing.
One man, one vote. To be honest, I can't wait for the feedback we're going to get. I do hope that it doesn't end up being a violent election, because we've seen how, the military, the armed forces, they are ready and they're ready to conquer it all. I just hope that doesn't. To be honest, genuinely, I am hoping for a free and fair election. I
I think the violent parts, I'm actually, that's the least part I'm worried about, because Nigeria can't scatter. The world will not rest. There are too many of us. But we also wanted to let you guys know to remember to visit the hernalytics.com, where you'll be able to download the app. And this app will allow you to be able to get real-time information and data on what is happening with the elections. And then, of course, we want you to participate as well. You will be able to upload and give us kind of a citizen's view of what is happening in your polling unit, because it's really important. Guys, you we are our eyes and ears. We are the ones that are going to make sure that we keep this election free and fair. So in that polling unit, you die there. You stay there until you're supposed to leave. Don't let anybody chase you away. You're fully allowed to be there. But thank you guys so much for joining us on day one of Keeping It 100. We will be here at Adekunle and I tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. on the dot. So while you're at your polling unit, you can stream and you can also be sending us data on what's happening there. We really look forward to seeing you. So we're really excited, yeah.
Remember, guys, tomorrow is the one time that you as an individual have, the power is literally in your hands. Your thumb is the most powerful asset you have. Tomorrow, your thumb, your index finger, regardless of what anybody says, regardless of the propaganda, regardless of where we're coming from, you know the candidate that you want to vote for, you paid attention to them. If at this point in time, you still don't know who you're going to vote for, the internet is a resourceful place. Go on YouTube and search for all their campaigns, regardless of the states that they're in. And I think the one thing you need to do is, in the states that you're in, if your candidate has come to that state to campaign, that's the one you should focus your attention on. Because there's no point if you're in Lagos, for example, you're paying attention to a campaign that happened in Enugu. The problems in Lagos and the problems in Enugu are not the same. So go out of your comfort zone and pay attention and find out what this preferred candidate of yours has to offer. Because the truth is, we only have one chance to get it right. Electing a president does not mean that we will solve Nigeria's problems overnight automatically, but it will help us get the ball rolling into building the Nigeria that we want. Because the truth is, I don't know how you're going to explain to your children in a few years' time if things don't work out that you are part of the people that voted.
Yep, that's right. We will see you guys tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. on the dot. Good night.
Good night, guys.